Before we start this video, I strongly suggest that you not use any of my words or thoughts for educational purposes, as I do not have any qualifications or degrees whatsoever in the technologies that I'm talking about, nor do I have any reason to be right about the future. I do try my best to research topics relevant to the video, and I do make sure to link all sources in the description just in case you need them, but in the end, it's just me with some calzones and a lot of apple juice, so please don't take this too seriously. Also, almost all of this was written past the time of 10:45 p.m., so there's a fair bit of existential dread and insomnia mixed in here and there. So with that out of the way, let's get this show on the road. We are a peculiar species, to say the least, a species who have surpassed the very constructs and limitations of nature through the crutch of technology. We have crawled out of the dirt and slowly increased complexity until we have established what is today. With technology, we have outsmarted almost every single selective pressure nature has thrown at us, excluding mega natural disasters, extinction level events, and things that can be at most minimally affected by human technology and ingenuity. We figured out how to reduce, if not eliminate, famine. We figured out how to protect ourselves from the elements, and despite our scrawny, breakable nature, we have also figured out how to establish dominance over the food chain. We've also begun to interpret the rules of our reality through physics, and have taken to the stars, something that our ancestors could only dream of. We've conquered nature, and are set to conquer the galaxy as well. At this point, nothing can go wrong. Absolutely nothing. We are indomitable, unstoppable, destined for the stars, destined to sit with the gods in the heavens, with divine dominance, with nothing standing in our way. That's one of the biggest lies I've ever told in my entire life. Being completely honest, we aren't looking too great. With our increasingly complex societies comes increasingly complex problems, which makes the next 100 years or so extremely unpredictable. Despite us being extremely clever monkeys, we still have a lot to figure out. For example, what is the future of technology and how do we use it to benefit the whole of humanity? How do we save the climate? And how do we balance this immense power we've tapped into? I believe my favorite YouTuber Xerbia said it best: we are a contradictory mix of monkey and mad god. And mad gods we are. We have the power to shape the earth, and we already have. We are currently in the Anthropocene, which means that humans have established a period of time where we have been the dominant force on planet Earth and have also impacted the environment substantially. The actual coinage and definitions of the Anthropocene are still being debated on, but it's no secret that humans have sorta screwed a couple things up. So yeah. And if that isn't enough evidence of our power, human knowledge doubles every 13 months, whereas in the 1900s it doubled every century. With this godlike power, what do we do? What happens as we venture into the future, and more relevantly, what happens as we walk into the next century? There was also a relevant Spider-Man quote that I wanted to put in here, but some of my friends told me not to, and in spite of them, I'm just going to put it up on the screen so you can enjoy it with me. Let me take you back to 1938, Berlin, Germany, where in a secluded lab, Otto Hahn, Lise Meitner, and Fritz Strassmann discovered nuclear fission. Cut to 7 years later, the Trinity test, where in New Mexico, on July 16th, the first atomic bomb was detonated, ushering in a new age of nuclear weaponry. This culminated in the infamous World War II atomic bombs, which one of them, dropped over Hiroshima, Japan, killed around 80,000 people instantly. This begs the question, if this is how our first venture into nuclear fission panned out, what will happen as we venture further into the technologies of the future that are ultimately far more powerful? I'd like to go over a technology that will most likely shake up the fundamental nature of humanity. Genetic engineering. Genetic engineering is the process of editing the human genome to isolate desired traits or snip out genes entirely. This is done with CRISPR and Cas9. CRISPR, or clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, are a region found in bacterium and archaea DNA. When viruses come in, Cas proteins take a mugshot of the DNA and insert it into the CRISPR region. The viral DNA in CRISPR then duplicates and becomes RNA and attaches itself to Cas9 proteins, allowing it to fight off the same virus if it comes again. This is a natural process, but in 2012, Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier figured out how to use this natural system to target and edit any DNA. Scientists create an RNA that reflects the desired gene that they want to edit, and Cas9 takes that RNA and snips the actual DNA out of the region. Scientists can also insert guide DNA to help rebuild the snipped region, as without template, DNA repair often makes mistakes and errors. This process of repairment without template is called non-homologous end joining. Now that you know a bit about how CRISPR and Cas9 works, let's put on our visionary hat for a second. Although this technology is not fully developed, it shows monumental promise. With CRISPR, we could edit out genetic diseases such as sickle cell or Huntington's disease, maybe even mental illnesses while we're at it, that'd be great. However, perhaps there will be a time when genetic editing becomes so advanced that it becomes somewhat normal. What happens then? This opens the door for all sorts of possibilities. We could eliminate genetic disorders, both mental and physical, and create a new age where no one is suffering. However, there's a bit of a dystopian future if this goes wrong. If you search up genetic editing on the internet, you'll see a lot of results for the ethicality and potential dangers of this technology. I mean, they're not wrong, as genetic editing is extremely complicated. Genes aren't a on and off, one gene for an observable trait type thing. There's over 378 gene loci for skin color alone. One wrong move in the human genome and the results would be catastrophic. Looking far, far, far into the future, what's stopping a person from creating bioweapons that the human body cannot even combat? What's stopping someone from creating an entirely new species of hominid? This technology is unbelievably powerful and has a ceiling as high as the moon and safety risks just as high. Assuming this technology advances to its full potential, it will be the first time ever that we will be able to alter the human genome and change up the default settings of humanity. The massive capabilities of this tech also bring up the question, if we do figure out genetic engineering to its full capabilities, when will we know when to stop? If it wasn't already evident, the road ahead looks rather rocky. In the last couple of years or so, we can see systems start to collapse, deteriorate, or at least begin to show their flaws. Take climate change, for example. We've entered an age of technology and industry, yes, but at what cost? For starters, the poles are melting, ecosystems are crumbling before our very eyes, we're in a mass extinction event. The Pacific garbage patch is literally 3 times the size of France, and we're also on the brink of collapse. In fact, depending on the source, we have 8 to 12 years to slow carbon emissions until Earth goes past its tipping point. Assuming we go past that tipping point, Earth will slowly fade into ruin, the works of humanity standing tall on the dilapidated base that was once our home. For me, personally, it is terrifying and heartbreaking to think that the only known planet in the universe able to support life will just crumble into a unlivable, uninhabitable wasteland destroyed by the very creatures that she gave rise to. Secondly, genetic editing and other groundbreaking tech will also be at its crossroads. In this century, genetic editing will be researched and developed even further, and humanity will have to figure out the guidelines and parameters of this tech. For example, what is the ethicality of it? How can we use it for the benefit of all people? And most importantly, when do we know when to stop when things get a little out of control? This technology will primarily also only be available to the rich, or at least the rich will have the best access to it, and this will most likely be true for all novel technologies like AI and nanotechnology and all that. There was also a great point raised in Noah Yuval Harari's book, I apologize if I mispronounced your name, Homo Deus, that encapsulates the correlation between wealth and technology beautifully. It stated that technologies most often start out as a way to heal the disadvantaged, but primarily become a way to upgrade the elite. This will probably play out the same for future tech. If we want to figure all of this out, we need to figure out how to use this technology to benefit all as equally as possible. Simply put, this century, like the most intelligent monkeys the world has ever seen, with their achievements, their aspirations, their dreams, their accolades, never even existed. We are currently a small canoe in an ocean of adversity, with our problems being more complex than ever before. Around every corner lurks an enemy, each more bizarre and powerful than the last. However, we've done it before and we'll do it again. Despite our individual struggles, we as a species are very, very durable. We struggled out of the hostile safari of Africa and established cities, societies, countries, empires, nations, and finally, a global tapestry of interconnectivity. We've taken to the stars and are on the trajectory of exploring the very fundamental nature of our reality, how far we have come. From primitive monkeys to monkeys with the potential to conquer the very heavens, and that's a beautiful thing. We are extremely close to tipping off the deep end, yes, but also extremely close to cracking into something truly beautiful. Assuming we make it out of this century, I have hope that we will have learned from the trials of our past decades. We will have committed to sustainability, justice, and equality for all, and picked up the glass jars from the past and reassembled them into a brighter reflection of the future. we will have, hopefully, figured out a bit more about the cosmos and gotten a better sense of what the heck we're doing floating on this blue dot in the void. Yes, I hear you, the next 8 or so decades look terrifying. However, if there's one thing that'll conquer them, it's human ingenuity and also some compassion. And despite the waves and winds, if you squint real hard, you'll see the hint of land, the promise of a better future, a world where we'll all be alright. And I'll see you there. I will see all of you there.